Can you hear me with the mic, or do I need to raise it up, or we're good? Okay, thank you. Okay. Well, it's gonna have to go back down for Sara. So, how's that? Better? Okay. This is called Woo. It starts with a fact that you probably don't know, which is until the 1930s, suitors would present severed heads to potential partners to woo them. It's from the Irish Independent on Taiwanese Aborigines. Pour her a glass of wine with the severed head at the bottom. When she drinks the wine, she'll find the head. Run her a bath with scented candles and rose petals. Float a rubber duck with the head tied to it. Leave a trail of notes for her with letters cut from the paper. Use that knife. Blindfold her and take her where you first met. Use that blindfold. Take champagne and a glass for the head. Hire a violinist, hire a skywriter, hire a lawyer. Tell her you got her a gift to show her how much you love her. Tell her you want to spend the rest of your life with her. Put plastic underneath so it doesn't stain. Play the song's Head and Head Like a Hole and Head Hunters. Walk in just after the songs holding the head. Have a waiter bring her favorite dessert with the severed head inside. Give her a foot massage. Crown her little toe with the head. Do it the old-fashioned way. Do it right. Get down on one knee. Get all the way down with one of her hands between both of yours. Clench the head between your teeth. This is called At the Punk Lit Reading. There's a poet on stage. He used to sort of stalk me. I clapped at his poem because it was over. It was about heroin or ripping someone off or being in a band or dead bodies. Doesn't everybody want to make a statement? I'm too bored to burn down the forest. See the trees? Let's bang our heads against them till we see stars. The boy next to me is cute. When I kiss him, he tastes like the violent deaths of vegetables, carrot blood, banana bones. He's unnerved. He keeps ending up in my poems. Stop sitting next to me then, I say. He says, no. The poet on stage just said, raise your right hand if you're dead. I can't do that. I'm writing on napkins. Now, a famous punk rock girl is on stage. She just said, this is something I kind of just made up today. It's kind of like a poem. It's called Eliminating the Blank. That's what I'm doing here. It's something I kind of just made up today. It's kind of like a poem. I'm eliminating the blank. It is my pleasure to present Ms. Sara Biel.
Well, thank you for having me. And let me just, I think when we thought about this. Yeah.
I can do it for you.
Okay, thank you. We didn't think about this.
I know, we didn't think
about the
that.
mic.
It'll be a little off the side, so it won't block the view so much.
Try that.
Yeah, that's probably good. It could probably stay.
Okay. Well, thank you, Bird and Beckett, and thank you, Michael. I'm so excited to be here. I thought the first poem I'd read is from my chapbook, Prescribed Burn, and it's the title poem, Prescribed Burn. It began in a mix of soil and salt. A fire set in my stillness. I don't like to think about the windows shattered, the poison I pushed downstream. Most of me came home, came awake, lips bruised in a crush of fear, skull sore from collisions and silent sobs, hair knotted and torn, a messy convenience in his furious grip. A handle to twist and drag, me stumbling dumb, shuffled disbelief from block to block. That morning, miraculously alone, I slid into the stained bus seat, tears tucked in the tire spin, breathed fully for the first time in far too long. My bitter tongue swollen with unnamed crimes, dates, times, deceptions, dares, lines drawn and crossed, left choking on the curb. Blood gathered against my skin, stained all the places his fingers gripped, blooming badges of dishonor. But I wrenched free, slipped his mother's ring off my cold finger, couldn't watch as it bounced in the rainy roadside gravel. Sometimes a door needs to slam before it can close. Sometimes they burn fields so something new might grow. Thank you. Let's see. So, find it. This poem is called Spring, and I'll just read it. Okay.
Why don't you have
Oh,
something to
there.
plop to perch
Thank
on
you.
there? It's gonna be like that. Let's move that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be here for the duration. You should be comfortable.
Okay.
Here we go.
Oh, thank you.
If I can lift this out of here without spilling it.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, take it away.
Okay. Spring. Born at the waterline, mouth open, head tilted back. A girl given a name, a cold, hopeful season, an invisible ladder. We watch her from the shore, from striped chairs buried in dry, warm sand. She skips a small flat stone, caught in laughing air, tumbles, loses herself in the suck of the tide. Go out, come back, go out, come back, go out. It's not like in the movies. She slips beneath the green horizon, doesn't even wave. Her mother calls. We search the wind. Light shivers off ripples. I lift my words so their meaning surfaces. Exhale, inhale, call for help. The reflex, breath, must be obeyed. My explanation is glassy, unfocused. Tongue cramps before it reaches the edge of my teeth. Thoughts clot, catch, and then flow from brackish pools. Like seeks like, rushes to join the inundation. The warm waters swell, tap the degraded shoreline, wander in the buzz of forgotten sun. Words recede, bob beyond her wrinkled reach. Eyes close, wind pushes sand over sand. Her mind wades, rocks in the tick and sigh, the hollow sound of anxious hands. All my careful accounts push her prayers sideways. They creep across our briny grief. Hush, she says. Drowning is silent. Thank you.
Yeah.
Daphne.
Can you hear me okay from here? Okay. It's called Goodbye Summer. There is no summer this year. How it got cold. If you aren't saying something, that's all you need to say. Keep your tongue in your mouth. Too much summer on your tongue can turn you. There is no summer this year. You are all hello. But I am not making lemonade. I am not oiling myself up. You vacation at the Cape. You send a postcard. It says, not much. It says, having a time. You were all hello on me, the postcard in the puddle. Hello from the Cape. Hello from the coast. Hello from the cake. Hello from the cunt. Hello, hello. I wish you were here. To break my bed with your lure and line, but I will not blow up my beach ball, and there is no pollen. The lake is cold and no one is swimming. I don't care how hello you are because it's not summer. I've moved on, sown and reaped, built a fire, cleaned my house. There is no summer. I buried armloads of tomatoes and zucchini in shallow, sordid graves, burned my bathing suit and danced it into ashes under my flip-flops, forked the raft to shreds.
Okay, this next poem I wrote in memory of my friend Abby, and it's called Sideways. The world slumps sideways, and I grab his voice like the back of a bus seat, as if my heart can be stilled by attending to his restrained, precise words. He's professional, allows a moment for his news to settle, to sink into my stalled-out mind. He restarts, a dispassionate description of actions, situations, failed plans, and secrets guarded like love letters. Present time falls back. Memories emerge from my thickened thoughts like debris from a wave-ruined picnic. Solid, sand-filled, itchy as they dry. The words from our last conversation seem pointless and precious all the same. The relative merits of vegetarian lasagna, and under what circumstances you can wear jeans to an engagement party, already sink below our horizon. I wish I could have read the inscription carved in our private loneliness, tried the handle when she seemed rigid, locked out of our bleakness. Plans can change, be delayed. Oblivion can snag and catch, unravel on any stray hope. I shift my loss from hand to hand, not yet able to hold that this time her quiet had packed for a long journey, nothing more bearable than anything else. And this is in memory of my dad. I guess this is the memorial part of my reading. I'm still here. Long ago I would call, reach into the dark, wait for you to lift me from muddy dreams, ground me in the lights of the city. There we counted the cut glass tumbled sprawl, watched the sparkling emptiness of night wind down. We never talk about it. Now, time tangles, twists, makes rubble of abandoned conversations. I search for you in sleep, hope to catch you whistling in the moonlit house. I struggle to remember what blue meant to the color of your eyes. Our thinning thread vibrates clear in the hum of midnight traffic. This evening's mirror is an inkling, a shadow of our full selves. I wonder, can you feel my small, cool fist, a wish that bumps and tears, runs headlong into deep water? You were, are still, my horizon, there, but never close. Thank you.
The bearded lady gets called by the principal. And the school calls, and I rush down there from work, and they tell me that Calvin was fighting. And I say, fighting? And he comes into the principal's office, and he's got an eye blooming like a sunset, like oven rising, and he's got an ice pack in his hand, but not on his eye. And I look at him, and I say, put it there. And he says, it's warm. And I say, okay. I keep my voice steady when I ask what happened. And Calvin says, I can see fine, Mom. Don't be scared. And the principal says, Calvin. And Calvin doesn't say. And so I say, what happened, Calvin? And he says, Jeff called my shoes jerky. And I say, jerky? And the top of his head bobs up and down, and cheap too, he says, and they bring Jeff, and Jeff snickers, and Jeff strokes his chin right in my face, and he says, he did not, and Calvin says, he did too, and it turns out Jeff also hit Calvin in the eye, but Calvin hit first, but Jeff used Calvin's toy truck, hence the donut on his face, and I wonder where the hell Jeff's mother is, and why she isn't here, but the principal makes Calvin apologize first, since Calvin hit first, and then send Jeff to, and Jeff gets 2 days out of school, but they are cheap. Make that 3 days, young man. And Calvin gets 2 days, and the eye is puffing like a blowfish, and I nod at the principal, and you'd think they'd get the kids some better medical attention than an ice pack. And I look at it, and it seems to be what it is. He's right. His vision's fine. And the secretary hands his homework for the next 2 days, and he says nothing on the way home, which is fine, because I don't really know what to say either, except your shoes are not cheap. And he says, I need new shoes, Mom. And I say, ask your dad. And those are perfectly fine shoes, but what is the price of a black eye? And what is next, his pants? And I call my mom to tell her he's coming over for the next 2 days because I can't lose my damn job. And she says, I'll buy him the damn shoes. And I said, don't reward him. And he's listening to the whole thing, and he says, Mom, I need new shoes. It was just about the shoes, Mom. It was just about the shoes. It wasn't about anything else. I just need new shoes. And she says, he gets the shoes. And I say, okay. All right. If he gets his homework done tonight. And I say, no more trouble at school, okay? And he says, it wasn't my fault. And I say, never swing first. If you don't swing first, you don't get in as much trouble. And he says, I didn't get in as much trouble as Jeff. And I say, okay, enough. Do your homework. And he does. And I say, you could have lost your eye. And I start dinner, and his dad gets home and says, what's with the eye? And Calvin says, that guy my mom works with has one eye. Hey, would you love me with just one eye? And Frank sighs and says, those shoes are not cheap. And I open the mushroom soup and brown the beef and boil the noodles, and his dad says, I'm going to call Jeff's dad, and then we'll see what Jeff's dad's going to tan his hide till he understands he can't just go around hitting people. And I say, are you going to tie on your son's hide too? And Frank says, of course not. No more trouble at school. And Calvin says, I'm just doing my homework. I'm just doing my social studies. I'm not doing anything wrong. Lay off. And no one says anything for a while. And Calvin does his homework, and Frank goes to wash up and call Jeff's dad. And when I look over, Calvin's doing his social studies, and he's drawing a beard on George Washington and blacking out one eye.
That was incredible. Okay, so this next poem I wrote the day, the Orange Day. I don't know if you're like, who doesn't remember the Orange Day, but that was about 4 years ago.
4 years it's been?
Yeah, isn't that amazing? It's been 4 years. It was 4 years ago on September 9th, there were tons of wildfires. And there was so much smoke, the sky was dark, and it looked really dark orange. Yeah, the whole Bay Area was, yeah, no, thank you. It was really interesting, frightening. Yeah, the sky was orange. It was so dark, all the street lights were on. It was cold. It was very interesting, but. So from that, I wrote this poem. It's called Of Fire and Fog. Think of all the uses for salt, the tangles that can't be combed away. Imagine how confused the light became on a day like that when anything seemed possible. In the dark morning, we sat, ants in neat rows, listened to the crackle of radio voices as flames bared the bones of the places we loved. They say smoke is embodied, a visible vapor, uncountable particles given in the action of burning. There, on the cusp of fall, the air cooled in its rush to the sea, became heavy as a promise, relentless in its roll, swallowed, rocked the city in old woman arms. That day, when only the longest rays of light were able to reach out, they stretched just far enough to touch us. This one is just called Dandelion. Dandelion. Decades come and go, buses under a hard September sun. Another one passes while I dig in my bag for exact change. None of us makes the right choice every time. It's a game, dredging my tongue from my sticky mouth, promising to do better. Every one of us looks the wrong direction, hopes to find some line that will move us toward absolution or at least unconsciousness. I've been there myself, horizon-eyed, so many times. Only now I know the angle of the evening light is a temporary gift, nothing I can hold, just an open field crowned with fireflies.
So this one begins with an epigram from a band called the Minutemen, which is no hope. See, that's what gives me guts. Gandhi was noble. Noble, Gandhi said, when the Jews were rounded up, were killed, were inevitable. He said they should have just suicided. It would have been noble, he said. I say, dead is dead. Me, I'd rather be alive than noble. And maybe you, too, the open mouth of a gun, can say the same thing to a German as a Jew. 6 bullets to a chamber. It takes 1 to kill a Jew. Make 5 for the Nazis first. Dead is dead, and if I was going to die anyway, take 5, take a child. I was a child. My mother told me about when she was a child escaping the Nazis. I read the story of the child, that girl, how she hid in the attic, how she wrote a book, how she died as a child. I heard about the ballerina, how she danced for the Nazis, about how she shot them. I wanted to be a ballerina who writes a book. Since I was a child, I was told that violence is wrong, but when the state's agents are executing you, isn't it self-defense against killers, terrorists? 33,000 people dead September 2001 in New York. America is the home of the brave. America, what did you do? You fight fire with fire. What do you fight terror with when you make it? Afghanistan and Iraq, Korea and Haiti, Romania and Somalia, the defacement in Moscow, Idaho of a synagogue, the armed uniforms killing unarmed black men, the woman in a chain store, an American being told that in America she will be hung with her hijab. The Vietnamese American woman pumping gas being told by a man, American, to get the fuck out of my country. High school boys chanting, white power, marching down the high school hallway. Left, left, right, right, right. A woman's breast grabbed on the subway. The man claimed it was his right, wings spreading. All wrong in America. This new country rising, this old forgotten country. This country never tried to kill us with kindness, and here we are, with the mouth of an American gun trying to stop it, turn this over inside out, to point their hate in the right direction. It's so easy to feel lost, helpless, powerless, to fall into depression, to fight the blue. What do you fight blue with? Blue like rain, wet. It's not water in that shower. I've been told. I know. I've heard depression is rage turned inward. Turn this over inside out to make something happen. To believe and change is to make change happen. Is noble. Really noble. We can't do it alone. Maybe with someone else, and if not, then maybe with someone else, and if not, then maybe us, coming with a book of matches, open the white to the brown and red. Are you ready to strike? Are you ready? You have to be ready. Turn blue inside out. It's orange, and orange and blue are flame, are warm. Move fast. There's no water in those showers. There's no America, but there is us, and we can write a book like a little girl. We can America like we are free. Come on, let's dance like we made it out of the attic alive. I only have one left. Yeah.
Okay. That was amazing. I'm so excited to be reading with Daphne. So this next poem is titled Turning to Salt, and I wrote it thinking about Lot's wife from the Bible. And when I started thinking about writing it, I was looking around because like she must have had a name, right? And I couldn't find anything that clearly had her name. So I think that's interesting. So it's called Turning to Salt. He won't give you an answer. He wants you to hold his words on your tongue, make them a bed, sew them into your hem, their weight, sluggish suffocation in every step. He tells you, don't look. A backwards glance is sin's first twinge, a crescent ripe for waxing. He tells you, the past doesn't matter, but it's the wave that brought you to this precarious morning, a wave that has already started to forget the sun warm of your skin. He doesn't know your soft organs already venture out. Your feral heart has run barefoot, wind a tangled dare, a promise kissed behind your ear. Your body matches the sea, salt for salt. Wakes when the moon rolls over, a tearful greeting in the wretched dawn. Why not choose the world? It's right here, pressed under your nails. Clings to you at every opportunity. Familiarity deep as breath. You won't be disappointed. Look close. There's innocence in the spread of pale roots, possibility in the far-flung sigh of a train as it rushes into the heart of a summer night. This is where you've always been going. Your voice has a natural drop, words like rain. It's okay to wonder, to slip along, to slide your hand into gravities and grin as you fall. Thank you.
Thank you all for your time and your ears. That's not replaceable stuff. And I appreciate spending this time with you. This is called Everyone Falls. Today is my cat's birthday. She's 19. I don't know how long I can grow her. I've turned 2 cats to ash already with my love. There are days I want to set myself on fire and run into the street screaming, I am still culturally relevant. I smoked for 25 years and then quit. There is nothing more frightening than a middle-aged woman who wants. Dear Miss Gottlieb, I am a high school student and I'm performing your work. What year were you born? Was it after 1960? Sometimes I see my dead friends on the street. I've passed the age where excess is the killer, or tall buildings, or gorges, or razors, or bridges. Now people die of diseases. Dear Ms. Gottlieb, I'm a poet just starting out. What advice do you have for me? Don't. Dear Ms. Gottlieb, 1968, Lyndon B. Johnson, the Vietnam War, Frankie Lyman overdosing on heroin. Dear Ms. Gottlieb, you will never win the MacArthur, the Guggenheim, the Kentucky Derby, 1968 MLK shot, Civil Rights Act, White Album. Dear Ms. Gottlieb, your bikini days are over, unless you're making a statement. Are you making a statement? Are you making a scene? There's nothing more obscene than middle-aged desire. Are you going to go quietly? We can do this the hard way. I have a friend who's 60. I've buried both my parents. I will never have children. I have a friend who is 60. Her cat just died. For her birthday, she jumped out of an airplane. The view, she said. She landed safely. She landed on land. I land on metaphor. My whole life is already about watching the end rush up at me. Too fast, nowhere I thought I'd be. 1968, Martin Luther King Jr., Helen Keller, Robert Kennedy. She said they told her before she jumped that some people pee themselves on the way down. Some people blackout, but oh, it's so fast, and everyone falls.
So right now, I'm working on a crown of sonnets. I started thinking about the sort of icon idea of the mad woman in the attic, and then was trying to figure out where that came from. And so in my research, I realized that it came from the novel Jane Eyre. That was, I guess, the first time there was a mad woman in an attic, which seems kind of crazy to me because it seems like there have always been women, and probably as long as there have been attics, they've kept women in attics. So I was like, really? Jane Eyre? That seems actually kind of modern. But anyway, that's where it came from. And so I had this idea to write about Antoinette, or Bertha, who's the mad woman in the attic, and Jane and Mr. Rochester and that love triangle, and put it in a crown of sonnets looking at a lot of the stressors on those relationships, the stressors being racism and classism and gender. And this is what's coming out. So I'm going to read sonnets 9, 10, and 11. And they are still in process. And because it's a crown of sonnets, I don't know, everybody here may know this, but in a crown of sonnets, the last line of each sonnet is repeated as the first line of the next sonnet, and in that way they're linked. So I'll just read them straight through. So this is sonnet number 9. Too drunk on hope to taste the bitter edge of sweet, I didn't hear the final sigh, the last lonesome howl of our old life eclipsed. The world broken open, something ruddy, impatient, something born on fire slipped out. Have you ever thought about how our shelters become our prisons? How conditional love always leaves our hunger on our plate, your deluded heart beating for one more mouthful of honeyed smoke? I owe a debt to the caged creature who transformed our mutual craving from endless abyss to furious conflagration. Men harvested her opulent wilderness again and again. She found her own vacancy. She filled it with flame. She found her own vacancy. She filled it with flame, and that unbound burning danced, head back, arms wild as waves. Her thorny smile tore the breath from the constant wind. She is a woman born with the sun in her skin, her heart a hive of disquiet prone to collapse. With so many wings, the sky was not an escape, but a birthright, a cauterization, her way home. No longer the half-moon's lonesome child, no flightless bird in a filigree cage. She was the flashpoint, the dark horse who ripped the stitches from our frigid world. Finally, night lay a surrender at her feet. Stars drifted from her smoky curls, her mind swung wide. She saw the profound casualty she'd made, smiled, left it nameless, let the man grope his own charred ruin. She smiled, left the man to grope his own charred ruin, and it was raining again, like some deity couldn't break the habit of humiliation. Abandoned, the man shivered in a caustic ooze, another failure for his ghost to grind between craggy teeth. That crush was not his same old nightmare, not the weight of obligation or the stuffy immobility of custom. His undoing had stalked him, ran elongated fingers across his cervical spine, whispered the word, "Run," and laughed as his coarse hairs pimpled their animal response. Still, morning came, dragged a hazy shard of bone to relieve the dark horizon, a small opening. A new summer blue day filled his traitorous lungs. Thank you. So, working my way towards 15. So I thought I would end with like a kind of dessert poem. I think of this poem as a dessert poem. Anyway, it's called Crosswalk. Crosswalk. What if the old man in his dove gray shirt and walnut tie, scooping up the cinnamon cat, resting his cheek gently on its head, was the whole world this morning? Then the news, full of greed and death, and all my voracious anxiety would dampen. A storm, to a breeze, to a whisper of fall. "Good morning," says the man. "Is that Walter?" I ask. "No, this is Earl. Walter visits, but he doesn't stay." Thank you. Daphne Gottlieb.
Oh
The
no,
amazing.
I'm done.
You're done. You're done. Okay.
Thank you both so much. So much. Goodness.
Thank you for having us.
No, I want to thank Sara and Daphne for an extraordinary reading. And I think it really worked well, going back and forth and changing the pace because, wow, very, very nice. Very, very happy. Many memorable and haunting lines were uttered this evening. So we're going to have, I don't know, let's see, what time is it? Yeah, like 5, maybe 10 minutes, depending, break, and then we're going to have the open reading. I think everyone's signed up who wants to read. I think that's the case, and that will conclude the evening. So thank you both so much.
Thank you.